with some of the guys that are transferring and some of the guys that are returning, how high is the level of quarterback play in the ACC right now?
I think the quarterback play in the ACC has been high for a long time. I think there's a lot of great competition, a lot of great offenses, and there's been a lot of great quarterbacks. You look at the track record, of what's playing and starting in the NFL, you're going to find a lot of quarterbacks in the ACC.
How much has your coaching changed just in the last couple of years with the way offenses have evolved?
Well, I mean, since I've been, my position personally has changed a lot because 16 I was an analyst and then move up to safeties. But as far as coaching the safeties, we're playing with a lot more safeties on the back end. We're having to prepare more, for the passing game. So you've seen us evolve into 3 safeties back there at one time. And in the last couple of national championship games, we've had 5 safeties on the field at one time. So, we've had to, as far as my coaching goes, it stays the same, but I do have to move guys down into the box some. And, they have to, at safety, you got to be able to play both man coverage and zone. You got to be able to tackle. You just got to be able to do a lot of things. You got to blitz. Our defense has become more and more evolving. So,
How rewarding is it to see a guy like Nolan who comes in and doesn't have necessarily the acclaim or the accolades that a lot of your typical Clemson players have?
I love it because I think there's a lot of players out there like Nolan, and they're just looking for an opportunity, to prove themselves. And Nolan's an incredible athlete. And if you go back and you look at his high school film, he was an unbelievable high school player that just got overlooked for whatever reason. So to see a guy like that come in, take advantage of his opportunity, make an All-American team, do the things he's been able to do, it's amazing. I mean, because when he gets here, we're like, okay, he's going to redshirt, and he's going to do this, and then now all of a sudden you lose him for the first half of the playoff game. You're like, oh no, we're in trouble. That hurts us.
Mickey, your last 3 commits, and I can't speak to anybody specifically, are all from IMG. That makes 7, I think, over the last 5 or 6 years. What is it about that place that's different? You guys seem to be really establishing a pipeline, and is it? I know it's kind of more sports related, I guess, a little bit there. Can you kind of talk to me the differences between IMG and just a regular big time high school football program?
Well, I think that we've got a lot of good players at IMG, obviously, but I mean, they came from high school, kids coming from different high schools and that sort of thing. So I don't think it's necessarily the place as much as it is the people, and the players and the competition, because there's a lot of great high schools out there that are, that we're offering and signing kids from as well.
That makes 7 defensive guys if these guys do end up signing on. All players from there that have played at Clemson have been on the defensive side of the ball. Is that just coincidence, or are they known more for defense?
No, I think it's just coincidence.
Is there anyone who really stuck out during spring ball, maybe a newcomer that didn't see the field much last year, but that really stuck out to you during spring ball?
Andrew Mukuba had a really good spring. I was really impressed with him. He came in as a mid-year and was actually climbing his way up the depth chart until he broke his arm. He definitely jumped off the page.
Will he be ready for fall camp?
He will be.
Okay.
How about Thornton?
Yeah, Ray had a good spring, and he just keeps getting better and better and better. He's a guy that came in, needed the red shirt, and was an incredible athlete, and was really learning the position more and more. So excited about Ray.
You saw yesterday that Nolan got nominated for the award yesterday. He's one of the guys in the list for that Dorp Award at the end of the year. Talk about his development from start to finish, the project he was when he got here. Unrecruited, 2-star guy, under Dabo's wing, you get a hold of him, and all of a sudden you guys got a guy that's probably going to find his way into the league.
I think Nolan's got a great story, obviously, with his dad, but his dad was an unbelievable athlete, and Nolan's a guy in high school that, he's got good high school film. For whatever reason, was an overlooked player, and we were fortunate, to where we had some guys that left to go to the NFL, and we were able to bring Nolan in. And Nolan was good when he got here. He was a really good player, but has worked and learned the defense and his footwork. He is just so instinctive as a player, and his footwork is is uncomparable really to any other defensive back that we've got back there. His footwork is incredible, just the way he keeps his feet underneath him, and the way he can not only play the run, but he can play the pass. He's especially good in zone. We saw that against Ohio State a couple of years ago when he intercepted that pass to seal the deal. He's just got great vision, great instincts, covers a lot of ground. He's faster than you think. He's quicker than most people think. But, man, he's just really bought in. And you're going to see him. He's in the film room studying. And, now that he really understands the defense, that's why you see him doing so many good things.
Outside of the new linebacker, that is the quarterback, the deep backside of that defense.
No question.
And you take Tanner Muse 2 years ago. Tanner, me and you talked about it. Tanner was an outside linebacker playing safety. This is a safety playing safety.
That's right.
And you can see that, because what you talked about just now is positioning. That's the whole thing about that guy. He's got to be in the right spot.
Right.
He's got to know where to set his feet down. And that determines where they're going to call that next play.
That's right.
I mean, that's all on him. Talk about how it is to teach those guys that discipline it takes to go, okay, I got to stay put. Like at the Lannden. Landen's got to learn to do the same thing that Nolan's doing. Learn how to not get fooled, turn his hips.
As far as teaching them goes, we've got a lot of guys back there, and when you don't do it right, you come out of the game, and kids learn real quick. I better get this thing right, or I won't be in the game. And or in Nolan's case, a young guy, he took advantage of every opportunity and every chance he got. So when he would get in the game, you're like, man, this guy, unbelievable. Even his freshman year, you watch him against Louisville make a huge tackle on their quarterback, who's now making all kinds of plays in the NFL. But Nolan comes in and tackles him in the open field to keep him out of the end zone. You're like, wow, okay, there's something to this kid. And as far as teaching him, he's had to learn because he didn't get every opportunity early on. So he had to learn both safety positions and the nickel position. And, being able to do that, learn multiple safety positions, has really helped him. To the regular fans' eye, you think that the safety position's the same, but they're both very different and both have very different responsibilities within our defense. All three of them. You talk about the nickel, you talk about free safety, you talk about the strong safety, and now you talk about the dime. Man, it's a lot to learn. And Nolan has just, he's embraced that and learned it. And with his footwork and his instincts and his mind, he's going to have a big year. I'm really excited for it.
Last year, Coach Swinney said that Nolan has a chance when he leaves to be the best safety that he's had while he's here. What do you say to that?
Oh, I agree. He can definitely be the best safety since I've been here, and he can do a lot of things. Now that's not to take anything away from the ones that I've had, because they've done pretty good too. I mean, you've got Kayvon Wallace sitting there playing with the Eagles. You got Isaiah Simmons. Yeah. So I mean, I didn't coach Curse, but Tanner Muse. I mean, you got some good ones that have moved on. But Nolan, he's been here longer than all those guys too, and he's taken full advantage of this opportunity.
You talked about the nickel and the dime. How does that come between you guys and the safeties and the cornerback rooms in coaching that position? Because you guys have to overlap. Mm-hmm. You got guys that are cornerbacks playing that. You got guys that are playing safety, playing that nickel role.
So we meet a lot of times. We just meet together. So our back seven, we meet together. There's just so many parts to the defense that we do as a back seven that we have to meet together. So Coach Venables, myself, Coach Reed, we're in that room together just going over things. And then when we get out on the field, if there's specific drills that I need to do with the nickels and the safeties, then I'll take the nickels and the safeties and work those. And then, vice versa, if somebody's got to go out and play some linebacker or corner, because the safety position kind of has to do a little bit of all of it. And we have to give them the drill work to be prepared to do that. So we get together before practice, obviously, and plan that out so they can get the individual work that they need to hone in on that skill.
Coach, what is it about BT, that his personality, that makes him good for his job?
BT Potter?
Yeah.
I think he's just very confident. He's very confident. He doesn't parade around and try to gain attention for himself. He's very confident. He's a quiet kid, but just very confident in what he does.
he never lost that. I mean, he's had some setbacks, but he never lost that.
I don't think so. You know, I'm sure internally he probably battled it, but I mean, he wasn't in here whining about it or anything like that. He just goes to work and you know, to improve and get better, and that's what he's been able to do.
It seems like he's so reliable now that he's almost an unsung part of the machine, right? He's not really noticed, which is a good thing, maybe.
Yeah. Well, when you're making field goals and kicking the ball out of the end zone, that's people don't talk about you as much.
Right. How about the returners? Who's stepping up? Who looks good as?
You know, that's going to be that's up in the air right now. We've got some, you know, Mikey Dukes is a guy that we'll look at back there as long as Lynn J. Dixon. You know, Will Shipley's a guy that came in and he's learning how to catch punts and return kicks as well. Joseph Ngata back there. You know, it's really up in the air. I couldn't tell you a starter. This summer camp is going to be big to find that return guy. But we've got a lot of guys to choose from. You know, we just got to find the right ones.
Mitch, talk about Lannden and what he went through last year with the injury and the end of the year, trying to fight through that, and obviously some growing pains that he went across his last couple of games. Where's Lannden standing right now as far as pecking order and what you see as far as his development right now where he's at?
Yeah, Lannden will be back. I feel bad for him because he had that shoulder, the torn labrum, and you know, we decided to wait on the surgery to the end of the year, and it definitely affected the way he played. He wasn't as aggressive and as physical as he normally is, just trying to protect the shoulder, although he gave us everything he had, for sure. But you could just tell it was in his mind. And but he's got it. We got it fixed. We went in, did the surgery. He missed the spring, getting that thing healed up, and he's back 100% now. Been talking with him a lot about it. He says he feels great and he's ready to go. So I'm expecting big things for him.
What's the next step for Charleston?
He just needs to, you know, Charleston is he's a wild one out there. You know, he wants to hit, but he's got to improve on his footwork. I think that's the biggest thing. The biggest improvement I saw from the fall and then going into spring is his knowledge of the defense. I feel like he's a lot further ahead, knowing the defense itself and what to do and where to be, where to position himself. He's very inquisitive. You know, he asks a lot of good questions and things of that nature. But I think his footwork's really got to improve. He gets his feet out in front of him a little bit when he tackles, and he gets a wide base where he needs to narrow that base. So we've really worked hard this spring and this summer to improve on that. But his man-to-man skills have gotten better and better and better. So I'm excited about it.
Jalyn, Ray, and Joseph, all three of those guys are at that point now where it's time for them, I think, in your eyes, probably to make that step.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those are the three guys that you've had here for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And they've kind of rotated in and out around the other guys. Which one of those three guys you see kind of like stepping forward out of those three?
It's going to be up to them. You know, they all played this spring. They all did a good job. You know, I saw days where JP would jump up there and take the lead. I saw days where Joseph would take the lead. You know, it's wide open, and then you throw Tyler Venables in the mix too, because he's going to be playing a little bit more safety into that boundary as well. So a lot of competition, a lot of things that those first couple of weeks, 3 weeks in camp is going to be big for those guys in particular.
Trust safety is or trust is the premium. Jalyn's flashed, but kind of comes in and out. Just got to speak to what his next step is.
JP, I thought, had a really good spring. Like you said, he kind of flashed it, you know, but he was playing a couple of different. He was trying to learn, and still is trying to learn 3 different spots back there. He's really 4 because he came in. We taught him how to play nickel. Then he was playing nickel and strong. Then he was playing free and dime. And I think this spring settling in at free safety really helped him. He knew what to do, he knew where to be, and I just wanted to slow everything down for him because we just threw so much at him. And learning all those positions is going to help him in the long run, But for now, trying to fight for position, he needs one thing to worry about.
A guy not in your room, but that plays in that nickel spot, Malcolm Greene. What can you say about him? I know he's not in your room, but that's a guy that really kind of had a nose for the football last year and was aggressive.
Well, we're all in the same room when it gets down to it. We're all doing the same things for these guys, but Malcolm, he's a guy that could play some safety too, as well as corner, as well as the nickel. But the thing you love about him is he's a film rat or a gym rat, whatever you want to call it. But he's always up here wanting to get better, and that's the thing I love about him. Whether it's volunteering at the ladies' clinic, or whether it's being able to take tough coaching on the field. That guy he's got the right mindset.
He's also overcoming the shoulder surgery too.
He did, and he's feeling good right now too. He's back too.
What is it about him though? The toughness that he had last year. It seemed like he was one of those guys. He would challenge at the line of scrimmage. Anything going on, any screen passes, he was challenging that. He knew what was going on. Well, he was really aggressive.
He's got a strong belief in himself.
Yeah.
And he loves his teammates. He's unselfish. A lot like Kayvon Wallace. Of course, they came from the same high school.
Yep.
But just a very unselfish player, but very motivated and driven to be the best. And I think that passion and that drive, just makes him different.
Mukuba, what did you see from him? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Jeff, I didn't hear you. Andrew, what you saw from him this spring?
Mukuba. First off, I saw a guy who could cover, and I love the fact that he can cover man to man. And then the next thing I saw was his aggression. I mean, he's physical. He'll come in and hit you. Good tackler, physical, and then he picked up on the defense pretty quick. So, those three things were things that jumped
Does he
off.
kind of project as a free, or
Probably more of a strong safety, more of a strong and more of a nickel dime guy. I think he's a guy that can go out and play corner. He's kind of like a Kayvon. He's not quite as big, as thick as Kayvon, but he's fast and quick and physical. He can do a lot of things. He's a Swiss Army knife. He can just kind of fit a lot of places.
Just hit on something ago with the IMG question, the D-backs out of the IMG coming together. You had the two guys from Howland Springs and Virginia together, and you got Jalyn and Mr. Butler. Booth both came out of the North Gwinnett together, right?
Yeah.
And that's just so rare to have these pairs coming together with you. It makes it a little easier on you, doesn't it? A little bit to have those guys learning together, and sharing notes and stuff, and then have that.
Oh yeah, and have that camaraderie. Yeah, that's good. That's good. It gives for good chemistry for sure.
Is it realistic to think that Mukuba could really vie for some legit?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I know that he's got a lot of depth ahead of him, but what does he have to do to kind of, I guess, not surpass those guys, but earn some play?
Yeah, he just needs to keep doing what he's doing. He needs to. I think the biggest thing for him, he's got the skill set. I think the biggest thing for him is to learn the calls, the defense itself, and that comes with experience and with time. And when he gets his opportunities in the games, which he's going to get, he needs to take advantage of it.
When you guys are recruiting, do you and Brent ever kind of have discussions about those guys that can maybe project safety and linebacker, and depending on numbers that you guys each get, cycle, kind of try to...
No question. No question about it.
When you guys, we talked to Rob earlier, and we talked about the offensive line since the time he got here to now. And he talked about how the defenses have changed since then, and offensive changed, defensive changed, attacking. Now you got RPOs, you got tight ends that look like wide receivers, hybrids out there running slots. It's changed up your whole group out there and how they cover and who's got responsibility-wise. When you don't have a guy like an Isaiah Simmons, a freak running back there that can wipe that whole thing out and change that whole dynamic, no matter who they put up there, how do you find a guy to put on that slot? How do you go out and find a guy and not make him just be highlighted like he's the guy? He's our Simmons. He's the guy that we're going to put out there.
I think it depends on down and distance.
Yep.
And I think it depends on the kind of player they put out there and what kind of receiver he is, or is he a receiving tight end, or is he a blocking tight end? Is he a You know, is he a guy that's a true slot punt return, kick return guy that's got a lot of twitch to him, or is he a long guy? You know, I mean, because you got to get corner type bodies on those slots, and you got to get linebacker type bodies on those big tight ends. You know, and having an Isaiah Simmons, that's a
Again, that was he's the washout. He
Yeah,
washes all that away, but he's rare.
now you got to personnel your defense with their offense, and that's what I do up in the box. You know, hey, here's who's coming in, here's who we got to get in the game. You know, to get the matchups. But and if you get caught in the game, then you got to, you know, we prepare, you know, corners and backers to switch when they need to, because guys are trying to get one-on-ones with your linebackers.
Talk about body types in safety. I mean, you get guys like Robert Smith play safety, and then, you know, 5'9", 5'10", and then you got Jalyn Phillips at 6'5", you got Isaiah at 6'4", you know, different kinds of body types back there. I mean, how does that factor into how you coach these guys?
Yeah, to me, I like the instinctive guys, and the guys you're naming were very instinctive players, different body types, but very instinctive at what they did. And those are the guys that are going to win for you, guys that are going to make plays. And yeah, you know, you get some big body kids, and you get excited about them, but if they can't play, you know, you're better off putting, you know, a smaller guy in that has those instincts. You know, that's where a guy like Nolan Turner got his opportunity. You know, because he didn't have the measurables that everybody was looking for, but when you put him on the field, he was better than these other guys, and you saw it. He's a football player, and to me, that's what I look for in practice. I'm looking for safeties that can play football. You know,
You saw Tyler in high school. You know, you went
Football
football. So is he the guy you're talking about right there?
yeah, absolutely.
That's what you're talking
So
about
he's
right
a
there,
guy that doesn't have the measurables.
He's got
but
the instincts.
He's a football player,
Yeah, he's a
and
great
he's strong as an ox in the weight room, and he'll throw his body around out there.
Fast.
He's smart. He's fast. I mean, you go back in high school. I mean, this kid was a quarterback. You know, not to throw the ball. Heck, he was catching it and running it, and nobody could catch him. And I mean, he's got unbelievable change of direction, quickness, explosion. You know, and he loves the game. You know, those are the kind of kids that end up surpassing some of these big body, high profile guys that maybe are not good football players. You know, I think in recruiting, you know, we lose sight of the game to the measurement.
Manley, like he played quarterback in high school, so that's got to be an advantage sitting back there. At
I
safety.
love that. I love a safety who played quarterback in high school, or even running back, or even receiver. I mean, I love a two-way guy, and I love guys that play baseball. You know, because you have to be able to judge the ball in the air. You have to be able to take good angles. You know, and you know, so I love guys that play multiple sports.
Sorry if you've been asked this already, Coach. How important has it been having Nolan Turner as a leader of the back end of your defense out of 6 years?
I think it's huge. You know, that is a big deal, because he's a difference maker back there, and you know, he's kind of a calming player for those other guys to look. It kind of gives them a sense of confidence knowing he's with them. And I really, you know, I think that hurt us in the first half of Ohio State, because, you know, they were just running around. They didn't have that anchor to lean on, and you know, just it really hurt us. And that's what. And him coming back is great, but I feel like those other guys are going to take the next step themselves to where they need to be mentally, you know, physically to do it.
Has there been a guy that you like the most that's taken a massive step since where we saw them at the end of last season? Joseph Charleston, Zanders, any of those guys?
I think they've all made progress and taken good strides. You know, I think R.J. Nickens has taken great strides. You know, with his opportunity this spring, I think he led the back end on interceptions. So I've been really happy with where he's been. And he hurt his shoulder, so that's going to be a little bit of a setback for him. We'll have to see how he comes back from that. And then we talked about Andrew Mukuba coming in right off the jump. Man, I love what he brings. He brings some kind of like a Malcolm Greene. He brings that confidence, kind of the swagger, you know, back there. And then he's hungry. He's desperate, you know, and a kid that's desperate to play, that's a good thing.
Speaking of Tyler Venables, how was his spring? I know he's not really in your room, but he does play some safety last year. How did his spring go?
Yeah, no, he's in my room for sure, but his spring went great. You know, he probably played more nickel and dime than he did safety, but he had a great spring, and we're working hard this summer to get him to pull him up to speed at that boundary safety
Did he have
spot.
an issue with his knee coming out of high school?
No need, no problems.
What's his biggest thing he has to work on to kind of improve and get to that next level of his play?
Well, you know, he played more quarterback than anything in high school, and then he's been playing mostly nickel, so he's been playing really close to the box. I think for him, you know, playing the deep ball back there on the back end and not creeping he wants to get too close to the box, too close to where everything's happening, and he's going to have to be more disciplined. We talked about that earlier with Nolan. You know, in other safeties, you got to be disciplined.
Plant those feet.
Yeah, you got to be disciplined to stay back. You're the last line of defense, and he wants to make every play. And once he realizes he ain't gonna make every play to use his teammates, you know, he's going to be a lot better. He's going to really help himself a lot.
Is he the one guy in your room that wants to hit someone the most, or who's that guy that wants to just lay looking at
I feel like I've got as a whole, I've got a very physical back end. I mean,
Thornton never wants to hit anybody. He's gonna hurt somebody.
Thornton and Joe are two big.
Big boy.
They're two big hitters, man. They like to hit. You know, both Ray and Joe. They love it.
How often do you see them playing in the nickel this year?
Tyler.
Ray and Joe.
Oh, Ray. Ray probably he'll probably play more dime than nickel, and play more of that penny, what we call for the wheel linebacker. You know, he'll probably be more that guy than he will be. He won't be a nickel.
When you're teaching these guys, the one thing I always look at safety is angles. Angles. You talk about angles going to the ball and angles coming out. You know, watching receivers finish their route tree, you got to be able to know. I mean, because you can get burned by a 5-0 tight end if he just plants his foot the right way and you got your hips going the wrong way.
Right.
You know, a good example would be Nolan's interception in Ohio State. He got burned on that same play earlier in the game. He saw it coming again, and he was ready for it.
To his defense, and I don't know if anybody's ever defended him on this, but he was supposed to have inside help on that play.
I know who that was.
Yep, and so our guy that was supposed to be inside got called up because it was a fourth down, and he got called up trying to stop the short yardage run. So he was supposed to have some inside.
But he learned something on that,
He
that
did.
route. He knew that route was coming.
He did.
Saw it.
He did, and we played a different coverage to it the next time. And when you talk about angles and depth and vision, you know, that's where he has an advantage over the other safeties. He knows in cover two how much depth he needs to have. He knows in man coverage where his alignment is. I think, too, the thing with Nolan that I would like to see with the other ones is they need to know, you need to know where your deficiencies are, too. You know,
Almost like math.
Yeah, not everybody can play at 5 yards off of a guy. Not everybody can play press. Not everybody, you know, sometimes you got to be at 7. Sometimes instead of 12, you got to be at 14, you know, yards I'm talking about. You know, and those are some little things that, you know, these guys coming out of high school, they could get away with. But when you learn what your weaknesses are, you know, that helps you.
I saw Alabama last year with the Smith kid, the one that won the Heisman. What they were doing with him was they would run him into those waggle motions and stop him behind the line and make him change direction right behind the tackles. When he come out behind the line, the safety didn't know which angle to take, and the guy had him beat by the time he step up on him. Because I mean, like you said, you wait and you anticipate,
Right.
and you go out and you break that route off. You go that route and brace off. You don't go with attack, and you just wait for it to come to you.
Right.
But this guy was getting around people. I mean, like you said, they're adjusting the offense around defense. I mean, when you get in a situation with a guy like that in a game, maybe like the guy was up at Louisville a couple years ago, was the little guy. He was kind of like that.
Yeah.
You know, he was one of those guys you could sneak out like that.
Right.
How do you account for that guy? You know, like with that little stuff they were doing, the little odd things, like last year, Ohio State, putting weird guys into the slot,
Right.
you know, doing some different things they did all year.
Well, we gotta have a good plan for it. We gotta make sure we get the right matchups. You know, practicing it is a different deal now. We do have such great receivers and skill players here that we get to see more of it than most people do. You know, sometimes guys, like you said, they'll come into a game and have not done it. And that's where I think Coach Venables is best in the business at making adjustments. You know, and in my job, getting on the headset with those guys and just trying to calm them down. Hey, look, it's okay. Here's what they're trying to do to you, and then you're going to need to get a little bit more width. All right, you're going to have to get outside, and we'll use our linebackers inside, you know, or vice versa. We're going to put the linebacker out, and then you're going to prevent that guy from getting inside. We'll create some double teams. Try not to put them on a guy that's winning the Heisman one-on-one. You know, you want to try to, you want to try to help those guys as much as you can, because those guys are different.
That's what he was doing, is freeing him up every time. He just stopped him behind, you put him in motion, and stop him behind the tackle, and then snap the ball, and you run behind the tackle. Nobody knew where he was. The whole game.
Got time for one more quick one.
What thing are you excited about the most this year for the safety group?
I'm excited because our defensive line is going to be really good up front, and I think that I think we're going to be better up front, and I think that's going to help us. That's going to, a safety's best friend is those guys up front getting pressure. That means we don't have to cover for quite as long, and so I'm excited about our defensive front, and I'm excited about where we are knowledge-wise in the defense. I feel like our guys understand. They have a whole lot better grasp and understanding of the defense.
Is this the most experienced group as far as time?
It is. This will be
with you as far as group?
This will be the most experienced group I've had.
I mean, you guys have been here 2 and 3 years now.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Thanks.